Tomorrow there's no class. Then Thursday and Friday we will have class. Just to let everyone know, unless something special comes up, this will be our weekly schedule going forward. Now let's continue with the journey to the west. After finishing the 4th lesson on Chetsun Ningtik Dzogchen, we now move to rode in a hot air balloon for the first time. Hot air balloons, I wonder if anyone here has ever ridden one. On the morning of July 15th, some American disciples strongly recommended that His Holiness take a hot air balloon ride to view the landscape of the mountains and rivers. As it turned out, hot air balloons are not suitable for people with heart disease or high blood pressure, so for safety reasons His Holiness didn't go. Originally they had invited His Holiness, but he didn't go. Since he didn't go, the disciples went to enjoy it instead. When His Holiness didn't go, Animedran also stayed behind. Since neither of them went, Khenpo Namdrol said he could also skip it, so he didn't go either. Lama Mumtso, Nyakki Wangpo and some others, along with a few Tibetan monastics from Colorado, a few of us went. Since His Holiness didn't go, the rest of us went to experience this unique ride. Before the invention of the airplane, hot air balloons were the primary mode of transport for aerial travel. If I remember correctly, 2 French brothers invented it around 1783. This was invented before the airplane. The airplane was also invented by 2 brothers, the Wright brothers. In aviation history, when it comes to getting things to fly, brothers seem to be quite capable. So if any of you have a brother, maybe you could invent something even more advanced than airplanes. Who knows? As for the hot air balloon, the upper part is a large bag called an envelope, and the lower part is a basket suspended underneath. Through heated air and airflow, it generates lift and floats through the sky. The best time for a hot air balloon ride is usually just after sunrise or a couple of hours before sunset. That's the ideal time, because at that time the wind conditions are calmer and the air currents are mild, making for a more stable ride. So we scheduled our ride for the morning. The day was sunny and cloudless. At around 9 o'clock in the morning, we watched the balloon being inflated more and more. Inside there was I think we have a video of this, I'm not sure if you've seen it. Inside there was a fairly large space. First we took photos inside and so on. Then gradually the balloon inflated more and more. Then it carried us up into the sky. The whole process was so amazing. When the balloon first lifted off, it rose quite quickly. Gradually it reached about 300 meters in altitude. Then it flew leisurely over some city areas, though there weren't that many cities since we didn't fly very far. I remember there was a small town as well as farms, forests and mountains. A variety of beautiful scenery clearly appeared before us. It was as if we were traveling above a magnificent painting. It felt wonderful. Soaring in the sky and watching the endless world, I felt such a joy of freedom. Sometimes these kinds of... Nowadays many people enjoy drifting and floating activities. They enjoy all kinds of travel. Back then it was different from now. Now it seems like nothing is particularly exciting anymore, but at that time it felt very meaningful. Every time we flew over a mountain, for some reason the wind was much stronger. The basket swayed quite a bit. Such turbulence seemed even stronger than in an airplane. However, we weren't nervous at all. We felt quite at ease. When we fly on airplanes, we sometimes experience turbulence from air currents. Some people get quite scared, but from the history of aviation, generally speaking, accidents caused by turbulence are extremely rare. Throughout the entire history of aviation, there's been maybe only one such incident, if any. As long as you feel the shaking, it means there's nothing to worry about. If something actually goes wrong on a plane, you wouldn't even feel it coming. In just a short moment, you'd be on your way to the Pure Land. So generally speaking, when we encounter turbulence, we do get a bit nervous. But looking at history for any aircraft, and in my whole life, I once asked a Buddhist from Hong Kong about this. I mentioned that I sometimes feel nervous when encountering turbulence. I asked if they had the same feeling. They said they don't feel that way at all, and no matter what, nothing has ever happened. Later, I also looked into some information on this. Apparently, when encountering turbulence, that's actually the least likely time for an accident. That's how it is. That's the theory, at least. But in practice, whether you're scared on a plane or not, well, everyone knows their own heart. The whole ride took about an hour. This was an amazing journey. It made me feel like I saw the entire world, and I truly realized the smallness of humankind. This isn't just about riding hot air balloons. Sometimes when I'm on an airplane, I notice as the plane gradually, when it's about to land, you can look down for a few minutes, right? Sometimes when the weather is good, you can see the cities and towns below. At those moments, you can feel how small we humans really are. We think of ourselves as tremendously important. Oh, look at me. My words matter. My reputation is this and my wealth is that. But when you're on a plane, you really feel this sense of perspective. Hot air balloons fly even lower than airplanes. Airplanes usually fly at around 10,000 meters, but balloons fly at around 300 to 400 meters. So you can see below much more clearly. Sometimes I feel that if we're too attached to our gains and losses and various aspects of ourselves, we're really no different from a blade of grass or an ant. There's no difference. If we consider the whole, not even the Milky Way or the whole world, just taking a flight from here for 2 or 3 hours, you can feel this. Or if you fly from here to Africa or America, at that moment you realize the plane's speed per hour and how fast it travels. And throughout the whole journey, what are you? Just one incredibly small being. So if you can reflect on this, it's a good way to let go of suffering and to overcome discursive thoughts. Although I had seen photos of hot air balloons, this personal experience far surpassed any photographs. When I think about it sometimes, these things don't really have much to do with practice. It was just for fun, just adding a little side story, a small embellishment, nothing more. Next we come to, why does secret mantra need to be kept secret? That afternoon, His Holiness gave an empowerment. Since we had gone to see the hot air balloon in the morning, we were a bit tired. During the empowerment in the afternoon, I felt a little drowsy. It was the empowerment for the Dzogchen practice of Peaceful Manjushri. Afterwards, His Holiness said the following: "This empowerment is the heart blood of 100,000 dakinis. It is equivalent to my heart essence," His Holiness said. "I have now offered it to all of you without any reservation. Placing Buddhahood within reach, the practice manual, is unprecedented and unique in the world. It is a profound instruction containing extremely powerful blessings. I will also give that to you." This teaching is not only profound and supreme, but it also puts you at risk. By relying on it, some will gain immense benefit, while some may encounter disastrous misfortune. Here he explains that if one isn't careful in practicing tantric teachings, it's like a double-edged sword. This is the principle he's teaching. If a practitioner has genuine, pure and devoted faith in the teacher, and also has deep trust in the teachings, practices wholeheartedly with diligence, and guards the profound secret while never disclosing it to others, if one maintains good relations with the teacher, practices the teachings diligently, and never discloses the secret to others, then even in this degenerate age, in this short human life, there is no need to undergo long-term hardship to attain Buddhahood. One will attain benefit that surpasses obtaining 100,000 wish-fulfilling jewels. Such a person will receive great benefit. We are the same. In practicing tantric teachings, if we do well with our teacher, the teachings, and guarding our samayas, if we do well in these areas, encountering the Dharma is truly something extraordinarily rare, I feel. In this very life, at the very least, we have encountered such wonderful Dharma. Indeed, in today's world, no matter how you look at it, such wonderful Dharma is truly impossible to find. This is what I sincerely believe from the bottom of my heart. So no matter what happens, I am unwilling to abandon the Dharma, and I am unwilling to abandon my teachers. Personally, this is how I feel. I hope many of us not only think this in our hearts, but sometimes also share it with those around us. Sometimes expressing it is very important. For example, with generating bodhicitta, if you just think about it yourself and understand it, others won't know. But if you repeatedly tell others about the importance of generating bodhicitta, the same goes for tantric teachings. Talking about the importance of tantric teachings is allowed. This won't breach the secret. Whether to Vajra brothers and sisters or to tutors, Khenpos and Dharma teachers, if you genuinely share the principles from your heart again and again, then these people will be influenced. Later, some will spread the teachings and some will practice them. If those of us who teach don't explain things clearly and those who listen don't hear clearly, there won't be any real impact. And without that impact, future practice may not yield results. So this Dharma, I truly believe from my heart, is extraordinarily supreme. So I consider myself quite fortunate, I suppose I can say that. Fortunate that in my lifetime I have never had any conflicts with my Vajra masters. I have never developed wrong views toward the teachings. As for keeping secrets, I admit that in translating these teachings I may have made some mistakes, but this was done with good intentions. If tantric teachings were never translated or taught, many teachers, you could say, would protect themselves. They wouldn't do this, but if no one ever knew about these teachings, it would also be a pity. So sometimes one may have to endure hardship, but it was done with a semblance of altruistic intention. On the contrary, if one has no faith in the teacher, and even worse is two-faced, offering praise face to face but disparaging behind the back, this certainly creates the cause for rebirth in the lower realms. Having no faith in the teacher, slandering the teacher, or being one way to their face and another behind their back, deliberately making things difficult for the teacher, disturbing the teacher's mind. Such people exist even now in the world, indeed they do. Such people will certainly fall to the lower realms. This isn't just my words, His Holiness said this. Each of us should ask ourselves how many teachers we have received tantric teachings from. If there are many, be careful. If there aren't many, it's best not to have conflicts with your teacher in this short human life. If conflicts really do arise, perhaps it's better to keep a respectful distance. There's no need to disturb the teacher's mind. There are many teachers, and there's no shortage of people in this world. As a teacher, if certain disciples are particularly difficult, there's no need to keep trying to reach them. There's really no need for that. So at a certain point, it's better to conclude certain karmic connections. Otherwise, one will certainly fall to the lower realms. Since all of you have entered the door of this profound path, you must engage in the actual practice with utmost faith and devotion. Otherwise, if you maintain that this teaching is not beneficial or pure, make a presumptuous judgment and criticize it, or after a year or two in the Buddhist door, convert to another religion while disparaging Buddhism, then it is certain you will fall to the lower realms. Such people start out with some faith, but then later claim the Dharma is no good, the teacher is no good, the Dharma friends are no good, and slander the teachings or convert to another religion. Some people nowadays have unstable minds. They treat Buddhism, refuge, and empowerments as if they were worldly relationships, or just another job. Treating it this way is very dangerous. So this teaching is also one that can bring great trouble. This teaching can also cause problems. You must not disclose this teaching to those who are not qualified and who have never received a Dzogchen empowerment, except with your guru and a very few close Vajra brothers and sisters who observe the same inner vows with you. How could you possibly speak of its view and meditation to anyone else? You cannot. Even discussing its terms with unqualified individuals will force you to fall to the lower realms. For those who have not received empowerment, who have no samayas, or who slander the teachings, there's no need to discuss Dzogchen terminology with such people. There's no need for that. So the danger is very great. Do not tell anyone about the great perfection. Keep it a secret. Do you understand what I mean? Some may wonder, since Dzogchen needs to be kept so secret, is there any hidden fault in the Dzogchen teaching? Absolutely not. There are no faults whatsoever. Rather, it is because keeping it secret is a favorable condition for us to easily attain all common and supreme accomplishments. If we don't keep it secret, proclaim it everywhere, and tell everyone, this becomes the exact cause for rebirth in the lower realms. So the secret is kept solely for our own benefit, not because tantric teachings have any faults. That day, as I recall, His Holiness seemed a little not quite happy, because at that time, apparently there were some people present who often shared tantric teachings with others carelessly and were disrespectful to their teachers. I heard there were such people. Because of this circumstance, His Holiness spoke quite profoundly on this matter. Sometimes when there are people among the assembly who have these kinds of issues, it may prompt the teaching of these related principles. For example, taking myself as an example, His Holiness said, I traveled thousands of miles from an Asian country in the East to reach America in the West. All of you disciples have gathered here to see me and receive my teachings. I believe this is a result of our previous karma together with the shared aspirations that we made many lifetimes ago. We must have this kind of connection. However, it is impossible for us to meet again and again. I'm pretty sure that I will not return to the US. His Holiness said this many times back then. Probably this is the only time. Thinking of all of you, I find you truly endearing, yet I also feel deep compassion for you. Perhaps because they didn't understand cause and effect, sometimes they were pitiful, and sometimes, because everyone was so joyful around His Holiness at that time, they were also lovable. That is why I have given you so many precious teachings that I have not taught frequently or extensively in Tibetan areas. Indeed, many of these teachings were never given in either Tibetan or Han regions. A journey to the West contains so much of this. The other day, a Khenpo from our monastery told me he had already read through it twice. He's almost finished with his third reading now. He said there's so much of His Holiness's teachings in it. Even though he was in Tibetan areas and attended His Holiness for many years, he had never heard these teachings before. There are many treasures in this book, so he has been spending a warm winter with it. He holds the 2 volumes of A Journey to the West every day. I joked with him, saying that from other places, whether in English or Chinese, many people have said it's quite good. But from the Tibetan side, I haven't heard much feedback, so this is good to hear. Indeed, His Holiness shared so much in this book, extraordinarily supreme teachings. It was out of deep compassion that I taught this Dharma. However, if this is an incorrect decision, and in the future you broadcast these secret teachings everywhere, then such actions will bring about harmful consequences to both you as disciples and me as the teacher. So the profound empowerments and instructions of secret mantrayana, if mishandled, will truly cause serious harm. This applies to taking refuge, receiving empowerments, and actually listening to teachings as well. If you yourself are in a good state, you should rely on listening to the teachings to gain benefit in this life and future lives. But if your character and various aspects aren't so good, it's hard to know whether the benefit or the harm will be greater. The harm could be tremendous. On the contrary, if you follow the guidelines exactly, they will undoubtedly bring you tremendous benefit. His Holiness said, "Here is something I need to repeat. Each one of you should develop sincere devotion toward your teacher. Such devotion has to be sincere and uncontrived. Do not show your respect in front while having nothing behind." This is regarding the teacher. In front of the teacher, one seems to listen respectfully, but behind the scenes, one has no faith in the heart. Meanwhile, you should cultivate a consistent, confident faith in the teachings, and do not be either too loose or too tight. What does this mean? It means being consistent. If you show enthusiasm for the Dharma at the beginning, while losing interest and enthusiasm over time, this is what I mean by being too loose or too tight. Sometimes you seem very interested in the Dharma, and other times you have no feeling for it at all. The secret mantra teaching of the great perfection is so profound and unique that if you never divulge any relevant information to anyone else and engrave it in your heart while persevering in its practice, you will achieve Buddhahood in this very life. This teaching is truly supreme, with wholehearted practice for those with faith and diligence. Attaining Buddhahood is no problem. Even if you don't attain Buddhahood, in this very life you will never fall to the lower realms, and you will attain corresponding accomplishments. Such is the extraordinarily distinctive and supreme teaching of Dzogchen. Please keep this in mind. These were His Holiness's words at that time. I hope after we finish this teaching, you'll also take a look at the book. It would also be good to read the Shurangama Sutra in advance. See if your interpretation matches mine. As for A Journey to the West, ideally after we finish teaching it, if you have time, please read it. But I know many of our Dharma friends are probably quite busy. Everyone works hard, but that's okay. If you're busy, be busy with something meaningful, not meaningless things. That would be very good. It's fine to be a little busy, but when you're busy, don't let your mind get exhausted. Actually, the body isn't tired at all. Our busyness, compared to worldly people going to and from work, compared to their work, our study, reflection and meditation, one thing after another, as long as your mind can handle it, I don't think many of our tasks are really tiring. This isn't even real tiredness. Real tiredness isn't like this. So please don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted." Don't make this a catchphrase. Instead, you should say, "It's okay, there shouldn't be any problem." Mental strength is very important. Today I translated another teaching from Mifam Rinpoche. The power of the mind is very important. If there's an opportunity in the future, I'll share it with everyone. Okay, that's all for today.
So sonam dei tamse rubanya tonne de jana pasi jirgana jirano chupai chupun sonen droa
Bandangara Badna Sadarda Bandangara Badna Sada Bandangara Badna Sadarda